Welcome to the Big Idea podcast, where we're focused on food. Today we're going to be talking to Thrilling Foods from Portland, Oregon. That's David and Jared. These guys have created and are launching a plant-based bacon, spelled BAKON. It's an incredible product. It looks like a big, thick cut slab of bacon covered in pepper, and it tastes good. They sent me some. I went through it very, very quickly. Really, really good product. Like it a lot. So let's have a conversation with David and Jared. Talk about the company, how it got started, how it grew, and how they're going to do some crazy, crazy things around the bacon category. So let's get on with it. Thanks. Jared, David from Thrilling, welcome to the Big Idea podcast. Thanks for coming along today. How are you both?
Doing great, thank you.
Good, great. Thanks, Andrew.
Okay, I'm sorry. I need a little bit more energy than that. This is sort of, okay. Yeah.
We're thrilled to be here, Andrew.
It's thrilling. It's
Yeah.
thrilling for Thrilling to be here. So Jared Hansen, David Jones, you are the guys behind Thrilling. Why don't we first and foremost talk about Thrilling, so we can so people can figure out what you guys do. Then I'd love to know about Jared and David, how you guys came to sort of build this thing and where you came from and why this is such an important thing for you guys. So Thrilling, tell us about Thrilling Foods.
Sure.
Well, yeah, go ahead. I mean, but
Thrilling Foods makes the best plant-based bacon in the world. We're now in over 220 locations across the United States and growing very quickly. We're generally the top-selling bacon wherever we go, and we've been doing this for coming on 2 years now, and it is a wild ride so far.
Now, you guys sent me a pack of this stuff back in the day when we first met, and it looks like a really big, chunky, thick cut bacon product with the pepper, and like it looked absolutely crazy incredible, and it's all plant-based. It cooks well, it tastes delicious. I'm not surprised it's doing as well as it is. And I interrupted David because I know David wanted to sort of say hello and introduce himself as well. Thrilling, David, tell us about Thrilling. I'm sorry to be so excited about the product.
Oh no, me too. Obviously, I'm wanting to jump in, but the product you described was designed to be like my old favorite, which was a German thick cut bacon that you'd find in a high-end deli counter or meat store down in New Braunfels, Texas, that kind of place, But I was living in Portland, still am, and so much vegetarian veganism. My partner, she's vegetarian. And one of the promises I made was, sure, I won't have meat in the house. We can do that, and that'd be healthy, and it's so good for the planet, and I need to embrace that. And after a while, I started missing meat, and I began to try a lot of these alternatives, and I just could not, eat them. And so I began as a cook to start to make my own, and had fun with that. Tried some of the newer techniques that I was so excited about, like Impossible Food and these new techniques and ingredients. And what I ended up with, though, was to go back to old school. Learned how to make tofu. Basically, I had made bacon in another life, from pork, and knew how to cure it and all what that was about. So I just sort of took my ability, for cooking, and the fact that I didn't like actually what I was tasting, and a lot of that was about the new ingredients and methods, isolates and protein powders and things like that I just couldn't find a way to use and have it be good. But I came up with this product and was sharing it with the neighbors, and they just kept on asking for more, and it just started right there. And once stores got a chance to taste it, at some trials and things, they were all on board immediately. The guys were up out of their seats that it smelled and tasted like bacon. That got them so excited they wanted to have it in their store in the meat counters, and it just sort of took off from there, that I needed to actually run a business. And I was happy to be the guy that made something that excited people and looked like bacon and fried like bacon in its own fat and was a superior product. And I'm very proud of that. But I wasn't the guy to really run a business. So I reached out to Jared, who's my son-in-law, and said, hey, are you interested? You've had the bacon, what do you think? I've got some real challenges here, and patents might be one of them, and so forth. And Jared, with his background in running businesses and being an attorney and all that, just luckily he said, yeah, no, let's see where this goes, and started slow. And I think for both of us, it's now a really wild, exciting ride that has us both wondering what's going to happen the next day. It's been very successful.
So the one thing that sort of strikes me as you're talking, David, is plant-based has had a lot of excitement in the food category. A lot of consumers are driving towards finding that more sustainable plant-based food. We've had Beyond and Impossible and various others kind of coming online. One of the challenges we've heard from consumers over time is, the ingredient list is long. It's a laundry list of things that your grandmother wouldn't necessarily recognize if she was reading down that list. And you just made the point that thrilling is very much about, keeping it clean. So how did you figure that out? It's not an easy thing to make a product that looks so close to the real thing that, is it that, are you taking that pork curing knowledge and that's how you're getting the taste and the look and the flavor?
That is important. Andrew, when you think about what's the difference between a side of pork and pork bacon, the only difference is the cure. That is it. And so you must have that cure. It used to always be a dry salt rub followed by a day in hardwood. And so that's what we use. Now, today's modern bacons in the United States may or may not use those. They'll brine, and they'll actually use liquid smoke now, drenching in liquid smoke. So your current new world bacon isn't even made the way we do. We use the absolute old school techniques, but that's not what gave us what we wanted. And I was reacting against the fact that most of the things I was tasting and eating that were alt meats that I wanted to love are a product of putting a lot of powders and some liquid into a hopper and churning and extruding. And that's the current technology. And it makes a lot of sense when you're trying to make money. But that's not what I was about. What I was about was, hey, let's have some fun trying to make the closest as we can to an experience of, say, bacon, where it looks like bacon, it cooks like bacon, it smells, it chews, it tastes, and actually the macronutrients are absolutely identical to bacon. And so that's what we have. We have fat and protein. We have protein-bound fat, and the fat is made from the same amino acids that you'd find in meat, so you can body build on the product. It's macronutriently the same. It's not a rice cake that's been made to look like bacon or something, which is a lot of what you see, high carbohydrate. So in going back to square one and deciding we didn't want to make something that was made by dumping powders, that's super processed. You don't even like the taste of those powders. If you were to taste those powders, you would say ick. And they actually make flavorants designed to directly counteract the negative and off tastes of some of these protein isolates and powders. And so that was just not a place that a cook like me could go. That's food science and food industry. And I made this with love for family.
It's fooling the taste buds. It's not giving the taste buds what they want. It's fooling the taste buds from actually tasting what's actually going into their mouths properly, which is,
that's a great way of putting it.
It's actually really hard to fool the taste buds. What you're seeing right now, the crash in some of the alternative meats after the excitement and after as many people tested it and tasted it, that you don't get resale on the shelf. What you were getting was this blossoming of everyone interested until all of those people sort of died down, and now you're looking at your repeat sales, your steady repeat sales. And we've never had that kind of hype. We've just slowly grown with repeat sales. It is about flavor. I don't think you can fool the tongue. Your tongue is quite astute, and so we were working honestly absolutely, to try to work with really simple ingredients and to go back and embrace the hundreds of years old technology of tofu making and modify it and bring it up to date, change it where, and I think that's the most exciting and crazy thing is, Andrew, the tofu that you would get today, still in the grocery store everywhere, is exactly the same tofu that was made 300 years ago. It doesn't even have salt. And so therefore it doesn't have much of a flavor. It's nothing but, aggregated soy proteins. And so I don't know, there's not a lot of work or documentation or anything of anyone doing anything to tofu except trying to get less fat, to use a defatted product to make a low fat tofu. That's about all the innovation we've seen. And so it just seems like we're the only ones to be approaching modifying an old world product like tofu to bring it up to what we can do today, like what cooks would even do to make it taste better and just amazing. And there is a lot you can do, and there's a lot we did do. We have a high fat and a lean section. These layers are high fat and lean. They're very flavorful with umami flavor, which is what meat should have. And then they're cured with another old world technique of smoking and salting. And fascinating to see that that's basically what the bacon experience is umami, fattiness, salty, smoky, get the right chew and texture, and you're very close to eating pork bacon. No harm needed, no harm to any creatures.
So one of the things when we talked a little bit about alt protein sort of being this big promise that hasn't necessarily materialized in terms of that repeat purchase, I think part of that's coming through, part of that's happening, that sort of consumers loving the idea but not necessarily integrating it into their habits on a day-to-day basis as a direct replacement ongoing, right? I'm not seeing that direct replacement ongoing, and I think there's a key reason for that, and I think you've touched on it. One is that these products, a lot of the products out there, and there are some great ones that actually do deliver, but the majority of them just are sort of to the side of the target in terms of what consumers want. Consumers, we as consumers have sort of got used to bacon being a certain way, got used to chicken being a certain way, beef, etc., all of these different things. And these replacements, these alternatives, almost hit it but miss it. They almost get there. They don't quite have the right texture. They don't quite have the right bite. Sometimes the taste is close, but not. And maybe it's a factor of those powders and that sort of process you've outlined. But what happens is there were some innovators who brought some really interesting products in that were the first step, the first evolution. And then you had all of these, because there was a big excitement, you had all of these Me Too's running in and saying, oh, this is going to make me a fortune. I'm going to create a pea protein nugget too, or another soy burger, blah, blah, blah. And you ended up with multiple brands with mediocre products. And so the consumers buying into the hype, and they're seeing these mediocre products and they're tasting them. They're like, okay, I'll try it once, but I'm not trying it twice.
Right.
Your product, you sent me a pack. I think it had, 12 slices, something like that. I ate 12 slices. I didn't eat one slice and say, that's nice. Now I'll go back to regular bacon. Thank you very much. I tried 12 slices. I was kind of pissed off. I ran out of it so quickly. Yep. And sorry for swearing, folks. I don't know. Why aren't people doing it like you? I'm sort of flabbergasted.
When you eat potato chips, you'd swear you're going to just eat one, and yet something in your brain or your mouth or somewhere in there says, get one more. There's a craveability to certain things. Bacon has that craveability. It's a lot about umami and glutamic acid. That's the amino acid that is the protein, your key umami indicator. It really fires off with that. Parmesan cheese has it. But when I was working with persons who were involved in bringing some of our natural flavors, to help us with this, the flavorist was there, and I had cooked a whole package of bacon just like you did and put it out on a plate to be nice. And during our conversation, we both looked down, and she had eaten the entire plate of bacon by herself, because it did have that craveability. One more. And I really feel like that's the key achievement, is that unless people feel that way about your food product, that it's, as long as it's still there and I have room in my tummy, I'm going to eat it. Something's telling me to eat more. That's our favorite foods, and that's where we needed to be. And I really felt that was just so wonderful to watch her eat this product unconsciously, just like consume it all, like a dish of ice cream put ahead of you.
You and I are becoming the commercial for Thrilling. Jared, please bring this back to, I don't know, business.
So I have some thoughts on this as well. Because it's that focus on the perfection of the product that I think really drives it. And I don't know if I'm supposed to say this out loud, but I'm not a vegan myself, and yet I almost never. In fact, I can't remember the last time that I bought pork bacon for my home. And my kids, my wife, me, we all eat the Thrilling bacon now instead because it works. And you asked, Andrew, why is it that we think others didn't, that the repeat purchase maybe wasn't always there, right? Or why is no one else doing it the same way? And I think, going back to how we got started, right? I've known David, my father-in-law, for 17 years as a guy who's an absolute genius at food and who knows how to make food that just blows people's minds and often is not reproducible, right? We've had many conversations about, hey, you remember you made that meal that was, oh no, that was a one-time thing. That's not coming back. But here was a thing that he had developed that he approached it with a chef's passion for excellent food, and it started there. And I think a lot of the great innovations start from solving the founder's own problem rather than from starting in an R&D lab where you're trying to solve the problem of, well, this is, we have a factory that has this footprint and it's got these machines and we've got access to this supply chain. So how can we combine these blocks into something that we think the market will like? David started with none of that, and just started with, how do I figure out how to combine ingredients that are all edible on their own into something that replicates this taste, this texture, this smell experience of this bacon that I love. And never mind if it's economically feasible, right? That's not the point. We're just trying to make something delightful. And I think, and that's been our job, right? Is to figure out how to take the initial product and then turn it into a repeatable, high margin, economically sustainable process that creates this. And I think, the patent that Thrilling was awarded for David's innovation in creating this layered tofu product really, reflects the uniqueness of the innovation there. And the novelty of what we're doing. And we've made very substantial strides from an economic standpoint and making it more repeatable.
I was going to say, let's talk about that piece. So instead of starting with, we want to make a product, we're going to blend powders and liquids and extrude and blah, 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 and we're going to see if we can make something that enough people will buy. You guys started with a great product. Amazing. How do you, and I'm wondering whether the people who are on that side of the equation, the sort of powder water side of the equation, are thinking to themselves, oh, that's the wrong way to go. You shouldn't start with the perfect product because, how do you retrofit that into scale? How do you get this economically viable so that the margins are there so that you can produce the product in volume? If you're using very traditional curing processes and so on, I'm assuming because there are bacon companies out there that scaled up bacon, cured bacon, that there are ways to do it. How tough has it been to go from great product to scalable product with margins where there's a sustainable economic business model here?
I will say that it's not without challenges, right? Like you have to, of course it's tough in the sense that you have to think through it. You've got to solve all these problems, but fundamentally, I don't think there's anything insoluble there. I think that what we did, and this is where my background as an engineer came in handy, is you look at the problem, and rather than modeling it as a you know a set of starting ingredients and starting processes that you have to go with, you look at how to break down your process into its component steps, and then think about which of those component steps you might be able to do in a more scalable or more sustainable way. And it turns out there is, and there still remains a fair amount that we can do to improve the efficiency of the process. And so, we've come a long way. We've got some improvements.
But it's a journey.
It's a journey.
It's a journey.
It's a journey, and you're fundamentally scaling up and learning what is the essential component of each step in your process, and learning how to do that essential component at scale efficiently, and blending that all together and getting something high margin out at the end.
Yeah. Let me interject that, we like to say tofu-like product. It's not tofu, it's a tofu-like product. We've gone beyond and changed it enough that patent is on a tofu-like product, but it's still a novel product, never been made before. So there is not scale equipment directly made to address the needs that we need. So we're doing a lot of custom and bespoke type things that we need to do. And most of what we're doing is just looking at volume, scale, reducing touch time, just like any artisanal process that's been brought big, like your prosciutto industry. It's still exactly the same product, artisanally, same flavor. They wouldn't dare touch the ingredient, dare touch the basic process. What they have to do is win on scale and smart production facilities, and that's what we're doing, and that's what we have lined up to do, and we need those investors to help us get there. Otherwise it'll be a little bit slower journey, that's all.
And do you start with sort of core principles / criteria that is the filter for scale up, where you say, okay, these are certain guide rails that we will never cross so that we can get to scale, or we can get to a certain margin? How do you think about that?
What the product is basically that people have eaten is going to stay, that what's entering their mouths right now that they're loving, we are going to keep that. And that everything that Jared and I can think of that would be a smarter way to work, that's all up for grabs. We're happy to have every bit of change and embrace it, but the ingredients and the basic method of a layered tofu-like product will remain the same. And that's the sort of touchstone that we believe in. And Jared does, the same product and his family.
Exactly. And I will say, actually, even more broadly, even beyond the bacon itself, because we've got additional products in development. It's funny you ask, Andrew, about specific guide rails or sort of guiding principles for the company. And we definitely do. We talk about food without sacrifice. And what we mean by that is a 4-part commitment, right? Anything that we produce, any food that we deem thrilling enough to put our brand on, is going to be made without sacrifice to animals or the planet. We're not going to sacrifice on taste. It's going to be something that people love to eat and eat again and again. We're not going to sacrifice our customers' health. The ingredients are always going to be clean. It's always going to be a good for you food. And finally, we have a commitment that we're not going to sacrifice on how we treat our employees. So everyone has good benefits. Everyone has stock options in the company. We pay well, everything to take care of the team that is becoming Thrilling Foods as a company. So that's kind of our it's not one North Star, right? It's a cluster of 4 that guide us as we think about how to expand our product offering and how to make our existing products in a more efficient and sustainable way.
Do no harm.
Yeah.
It's funny. They say never to ask a question that you don't know the answer to in this kind of environment, because you want to go, it's going one direction, but because you don't know the answer, it could go in the other. I was looking through your ingredient list, and it's incredibly natural. I'm looking, it's like soy milk, it's maple syrup, it's radish and paprika for natural food coloring. It's black pepper. It's sea salt. Like, I'm not seeing the kind of list that I would expect on, I call it regular food, but maybe that's the wrong way of calling it. Your list is more, as you say, artisanal. It's kind of something you'd expect in a little shop in Portland, Oregon, instead of in supermarkets, right?
Yeah, by intention, by design. And one of the most interesting things is, you're not seeing all the preservative ingredients because it's cured. It is actually preserved by its cure, right? So we lose a lot of those oddball, preservative type things. But this is such a clean list and so healthy. We've had a number of doctors, heart surgeons, people come to our booth and get really excited and say, I'm recommending this in my next book, and everyone's going to know about this because I have so many people that want to eat bacon who no longer can. And we found out we're in now retirement homes and villages, that kind of thing, for the healthy alternative for bacon because of the ingredient list, basically. Okay, this is something healthy.
It's funny, the one thing that always used to stop me from moving towards veganism was bacon. It's a family tradition for me. I grew up every Saturday with my family eating bacon and eggs and toast, and it's an ongoing family tradition on the weekends. So and I could never find a product that got there. So I've been very excited about Thrilling for quite some time. I got to stop getting so excited, because otherwise people are going to be like, Jesus, I just annoyed all the religious people there. They're going to basically say, Andrew, you spent 45 minutes just talking about how great the product was and not really peppering them with questions. So out of interest, and again, another question I don't know the answer to, have you actually sat down with a pork or bacon company and considered some kind of partnership or some kind of relationship? Because, if I'm a pork company, sure, I want to sell my pork, but maybe I want to get more consumers into my market share, and getting, having a partnership with you guys might be a way of giving their audience both regular pork and plant-based pork, and knowing how great your product is, it will probably convert some of their pork eating folks.
I would say I don't want to comment on any specific companies, but we've had some discussions. Some discussions are ongoing, and we're always open to it, right? Like, the goal is to get more of this stuff out to more people, right, and get more scale and have more impact in the world. And so we're certainly open to every way of approaching that.
We were approached, but
yeah.
All right, it's secret. It's a secret. Nobody's listening anyway. Don't worry. Okay, so what's next? It sounds like you're sort of, actually, I was going to say what's next, but it sounds like you're kind of at the beginning of an incredible journey where it's about how to get this great product into as many homes and mouths as possible. So how are you thinking about that distribution side? How do people get this product? How do they try it? Is it online? Is it more around local grocery, or what are your channels of distribution at this point?
Sure. So right now you can buy bacon in about 150 retail locations across the U.S. Another 100 plus, about 120 or so restaurants have us on their menu. You can try us there. Of course, you can buy online at thrillingfoods.com. And as far as the distribution strategy, I mean, we've been approached by pretty much every major food distributor, right, to bring it to the natural, organic, specialty health type stores. The constraint is not distribution. The constraint is not demand. The constraint is how fast can we scale up our production capacity. And we've scaled it up quite a bit in the last year. But as far as what's next is opening our expansion facility that will allow us to go 10x even beyond where we are today. And as we do that, we'll be able to bring on many more stores, many more distributors, and continue to grow there. And I think it's probably primarily US focused for at least the next 12 months or so. But we we get approached all the time by international firms as well. And I think there's obviously a large expansion opportunity over time there as well.
So US for the next couple of years?
I don't know that I'd say a couple of years, probably 12 months or so. But again, like that's opportunistic. I mean, we do have one large launch currently tentatively scheduled in Southeast Asia in just a few months, and it's not that we have an expansion team hunting down international opportunities. It's that folks reach out to us, and sometimes it makes sense. So we're not closed to anything, but it's more a question of where we're going to put resources, where we're going to focus expansion activity.
Got it.
Before we get to all the alternative SKUs that we want to bring out, or the additional,
exactly. Right.
additional pork related products and so forth.
And I was going to go there in terms of, I'm sure you're innovating around new product lines that sort of take some of the traditional elements of what you're doing and bring it into new directions and so on. But it's such a huge opportunity because, bacon is something that, a lot of people love. It's a central part of family life. And I haven't seen many good alternatives yet. There are some, but we were very excited about this product. So I almost don't want you to sort of divert your attention from the opportunity ahead of you on the bacon side by getting involved in, SKUs 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6.
Well, we won't do it until we get squared away what Jared and I are trying to achieve at our first facility. I think all other new products, we need to make sure that we've learned all of our lessons with bacon and get that into a smooth flowing, ever increasing ability to make and do, even if it means building another factory. But we'll learn our lessons from that on, our country ham, smoked hams, and that kind of thing that will come out next.
So as entrepreneurs, sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt. Carry on, Jared.
Oh, no, I was just saying, yes, I agree. Go ahead, Andrew.
All right. Where do you guys, if things go to plan, if things go as you would expect, what do you think Thrilling Foods will look like in, let's say, 3 years' time?
So if our growth continues at the same rate that we've sustained for more than a year, we'll be doing over 77 million a year in bacon sales alone by the end of 2025. As we have hinted to, or as we've hinted at, I think bacon is really the beginning of something even larger, right? There are additional SKUs, there's ingredients. We've been approached by others about using our protein-bound fat as an ingredient in their own products. I think there is a lot here. And, as we think about the longer term opportunity for Thrilling Foods, when David was talking with me about the bacon that he had created and the possibility of coming to join him and work with him on this, on creating a company, I remember saying very clearly, like, I'm interested, but for me, it needs to be the goal needs to be something very large. Like the opportunity cost of coming to do this is quite high. And we need to be aligned in what we want to build. And what I will come and build is a company that has ambitions to go global and to compete on the scale of impossible and beyond and to win. And that's what we intend to do. So, I mean, it seems obviously sort of grandiose at this stage, right, to say something like that. But that's the goal, right? And that's what we're trying to accomplish. So 3 years from now, I think we should be doing, high double-digit millions in revenue. And we should be continuing our strong growth trajectory. And, by within 4+ years, we should be gearing up for larger, more public kind of events.
Amazing. So what can people listening do for you? It sounds like there's so many opportunities here. What can people listening do to support Thrilling Foods?
Well, I think for me, I know that people who feel like they can't get it, they'd like to have it in their town or their dear little local restaurant or their sweet little grocery store, they can simply let that grocery store or that restaurant know what we know. What we've seen is that reach out to us, we'll send you some and let you get started one way or the other. We're generous that way. For now, that's what we can do. And that I believe we're one of the most profitable SKUs a grocery store can have in about 7 inches wide. They make more money from our product than almost any other product sold, certainly in the competitive, that area. And for restaurants, they get a tremendous increase in followers and loyalty by having Thrilling Foods bacon as a part of their offerings. People are very excited, and most of the restaurants that carry us write us back constantly going, you guys can't believe how much our customers love your bacon and ordered over and over again, and they're really pleased with the results. So I just say reach out to your local grocer or restaurant and have them call us, and we'll take care of it for you.
Yeah, that's certainly the biggest thing. And of course, if you just want to buy bacon for yourself, you can do that as well. And if there are investors that are listening and they're interested in participating in our growth, certainly we're open to that conversation as we build out our expansion facility.
Amazing. So thrillingfoods.com is where people find the product either to reach out or to buy it?
Yeah, you can buy it online as well. Yeah.
And does that have your contact details, or is there a better way of doing
it? Way is just send us an email at hello@thrillingfoods.com and we'll get it to the right person.
And yeah, we answer right away. We're still small enough that you'll get a real good connection real fast.
Amazing. And any plans to is this very much Portland? In other words, a lot of those retailers and so on in Portland, or this is US wide?
I think LA has a bigger footprint than
it does
Portland.
For sure. Yeah. Now we're all across the country already. From Hawaii to Maine, we like to say about 270 locations right now, growing all the time. There's a map on our website. It's going to keep going up.
And I should ask the question I haven't already. How are you making this thing? Is this David? Is your kitchen going crazy, or do you have a commercial kitchen somewhere, or how are you making this thing?
We have more than one commercial kitchen. We unfortunately in Portland, where we are and where we got started, there's a sort of, this is what we've got going. There are so many groups that are starting so many fantastic restaurants and foods, and we're just a big foodie town, as you may know. And so what we've been forced to do so far, without having our own built out location yet, is just get these commercial kitchen spaces and agglomerate them together into our production facilities. So we've got one that does the assembly, we have another place that's smoking and then packaging, and we're getting by, but it's 2 shifts, and we're looking at adding a third, and that will become tight at some point, soon.
Well, you said there's no shortage of demand, there's just the ability to supply, right?
That's right. So,
sounds like you need somebody to come in potentially as an investor, and I don't want to speak for you, but it sounds like having somebody come in as an investor who can help you get that first Thrilling Foods facility where everything's under one roof. You've got the process end to end. You can probably get the margins improved, because moving part finished products around even one town is less than efficient.
Yeah, and the movement of product between those facilities is like the least inefficient part of the current thing. I mean, I could go on and on at length about here's the oven size that we have today, and here's the oven size that we need, right? Here's the slicer we have today, and the slicer that we need.
We need a documentarist, a novelist, someone who can write and record, because what we're going through is taking a completely artisanal food and moving it into a high production facility. And if that transformation is not always done. This is a unique transformation as well, to take a high quality artisanal food and to make it available to everybody in the United States at a decent price. That is one heck of a good challenge. We're up for it, but I think there's a documentary film, and how did they do it? We can't wait to
for sure. For sure. I mean, I'm always telling the team, like we've got 20 people working on our production team now, round the clock. And I'm always telling the team, we started as a kitchen, we have to become a factory. And the challenges of scaling everything that you're doing and making it more repeatable, more reliable, faster. It's a lot of fun. Yeah.
Yeah, we're expecting some improvement as well, not just the same. We actually
for sure,
improve. Yeah.
I'm kind of wanting to send a kind of request or question out to people who are listening. I'm sure that there's a company out there in the United States that has a very strong artisanal heritage that had to figure out how to scale that business up and maintain the quality, maintain the short number of ingredient lists, et cetera, to keep the artisanal methods and to somehow, as you say, move to that increased scale. I'm sure there's a few companies that have done it, and maybe even founders that have been part of that journey. For the life of me, I'm blanking. I'm not figuring out which companies. Normally, I'll be like, oh yeah, that's
Tillamook Cheese. Our cheese company here on the coast of Oregon is went from. I mean, they produce a very fine cheese at a very huge scale.
Right. And so the question is, anyone watching, listening, whatever, which companies would you say are a really good model of taking that artisanal approach and scaling it up without losing the integrity and the thing that made that product great? Who are those companies? Let's figure them out, because they should be talking to you guys and at least mentoring you, if not somehow getting involved, right?
Big Brother program.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
The great thing about food is it's very collaborative. So if there's a food founder out there that's been through this journey already, hopefully they'll reach out and we'll connect them to you. In terms of that contact, we already said, right? hello@thrillingfoods.com.
Yep.
Amazing. Anything I feel like there's so much more I can talk to you about. I feel like I've spent way too long telling everyone how amazing your product is. Apologies for that. Is there anything I should ask you that I haven't?
I think it'll be fascinating for people to just watch us as a bellwether or something like Miyoko's article on Miyoko's. That company is rolling and coming up with new products, and their sales are up and going. And when you're looking at what's going on in the alt meat space or the alt protein or that kind of plant-based no harm space, I think what's going to happen in the next year is really going to be fascinating. Is there sort of a vegan 2.0 that needs to settle in, where it's not just about saving the animals, you've got to make it so good that it is craveable, and that's our answer. Thrilling is going to be right in the middle of this, and so just watching the news, figuring out what's going to happen in the next 1 year should be pretty fascinating.
Yeah, amazing. We're stoked.
Jared, David, Thrilling Foods, thank you for your time today. Guys, if you're listening, if you're watching, please do reach out to hello@thrillingfoods.com if you have questions, if you want to help them in any way, support their journey from artisanal to artisanal plus. I don't want them to get rid of the artisanal, but I do want them to get it so that I can walk into my local, Wegmans or supermarket and buy it every day. I don't want it to go out of stock every 15 minutes, which I'm sure is happening.
It has been known to happen, yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
We're working on it, yeah.
All right. Thank you, guys. Appreciate you. Thrillingfoods.com.
Yeah. Thanks a lot.
Thank you for coming along to today's podcast, the Big Idea podcast, where we focus on food. Today we had a great conversation with Jared and with David from Thrilling Foods. They're doing some amazing things around plant-based bacon. So I'm Andrew Ive, your host. I'm the founder of Big Idea Ventures. We have offices in Paris, Singapore, New York, where we find and work with and support and invest in founders, engineers, scientists, changing the world, solving big problems with big ideas. So that's it. If you're an investor interested in food innovation and related, please reach out. If you're a founder who wants help and support, find us at bigideaventures.com or via LinkedIn. That's it. This is Andrew from Big Idea Ventures. Look forward to connecting with you again. Bye-bye.